So this is a bit of a catch-up session from several things that have happened during the year and particularly over the summer. The first thing was a purchase of a 121 DMU by Bechman. It's a very nice looking model. Probably its one problem is it's too light, and any dirt on the track and it just doesn't like it. Sometimes you'll bring it to a stop in the station and it just won't move because there's a little bit of dirt on the track. It's also very temperamental for any variations in the track, and it's caused me to go around and redo parts of my layout because it just wouldn't run consistently. Pity really. If it was a bit heavier, none of this would have been a problem. It is a really nice model. I've not weathered this yet. I'm still debating whether I have the confidence to go out and do it. I've populated it and got the decoder set up the way I want it. The lights may still be a little bright, but I keep changing them. I think this is probably how I'll leave it now. So the big thing on the layout was a lift out section. I had a sort of bridge section, as you can see here, where I crawled underneath, and this is how it was set up to begin with. Never worked, and as the layout progressed I really needed a lift out section, so here we are, a lift out section. It's really very, very simple. Has a simple holding catch there. The electrics are all clipped on. I did use very heavy duty hinges there, and then lots of location, the 2 location pins there, and then I use these adjustable feet inverted. I didn't invent this. This seems to be a number of railway modelers have come up with a similar solution, and it works. These are really nice because they had a little bit of rubber on them, so when you clip it with the carriage clips down there, it really holds it quite tightly. The locos will run without the carriage clips in place, but it's better for safety. This is the way I do the electrical connections. It's just copper tape on both sides, comes down and connects, and that's sufficient for my signals to run the connection. This variation, there's no cutout switch. I really didn't think it was going to be needed. You see it just clips into place. And I wasn't going to run trains without it in place, so why bother with a cutout switch? And you see I've used wood here to give the levelling. And the Hymek here just runs over quite nicely. You can see this is a bit of a later stage. I started building the scenery up on this side. However, this was a mistake. The Hymek went crashing off because I forgot to put the bridge down. Broke the cardan joint, couldn't get one for a class 35, but got one that was very similar from the Hymek diagram. I had to drill out the hole to make it fractionally larger. And this is what I did. It's not a repair guide. There are better ones on YouTube now, but it just shows you what I did. And it's very good being able to get all the parts list, which are on the Gauge Master website. And the key thing here is taking the clip on here off. It takes a little bit of force, but by taking it off you get the movement that you need on the axle to fit everything back in. If you don't take it off, you cannot get it back together. You can get it apart, but not back together. So that's the key learning here. The rest is quite straightforward then. It's a push fit for the column joint to go on. Then it's really a case of just reassembling that and locating all of the holding pieces back in there. It's fiddly, and it takes patience and time. I spent all day doing this repair. I think it took me 5 or 6 goes to work out that you had to take that clip off before you do anything. And so here's the final assembly. I put the axle in last because there is enough play in where it goes into the motor, which has a spring attachment there, so you can just wiggle it in there. And look, the Hymek goes. So, successfully completed. So this allowed me then to put a river in, which I had never been able to do. Having put the new lift-up section in, I then thought, oh, I'll put a river in. I really should have done that before I put the lift-out section. It would have been so much easier. But most of my layout is like that. Almost everything is unplanned and therefore changed. So I thought it might be nice just to do a bit of a time lapse of how I built up the area around the riverbank. I'm not going in how do I poured it, and there's so many better videos on how to do that. I made a mess of it. It took me 2 months of putting a layer down, letting it dry, putting a layer down, letting it dry to get the river okay. And this was then my efforts to make the river bank area. And I find by giving different colours and then just literally patching in some surface materials, you can get the different effects. This all gets moved off. It's mostly removed and kept for another occasion. And then we go in with splodges of more colour. And really you just keep building it up until you're happy with what you've got. A pathway going down, there's going to be a bridge over there. And now we're putting some static grass down. Not really happy with this static grass device. And here we're putting in some trees. Now the scene's starting to take shape. We've got you can see the riverbed there, and the basic bridge format is in place. This was just made up from bits of wood, really, cut and put together. I try and build everything from scratch on the layout. It's not always possible. here we are getting it ready now to pour the river. I was really limited on what I could get as a solution. This is a product that's not meant for a deep pour, and it turns out what I was actually doing was a deep pour, but I didn't realise that at the time. It's about 5 millimeters deep. This is really supposed to be around 1 millimeter. So I'm putting far too much in. Didn't really realise that here we just move around. I just cover up the different areas. You can see it looks quite opaque at this point. Just removing some air bubbles there. Tried this method also of removing air bubbles. It works quite well. I'm just using a metal straw here to gently blow over the surface. And then you can see the mess. Look at this, doesn't it look awful? So this is a time lapse over several days, and it disappears. It dries out. You just have to wait. And then I repeated it several times until finally I ended up with something that I was happy with. It's not finished, still got to have some work done on it to make it look like it's flowing. And then just to finish up, we have the DMU running. This was an area that I had to make some adjustments to the track to get it to run well. And you can see the Hymek coming around. It's running okay. It did suffer from its fall, the front lighting doesn't work properly. I haven't really come up with a solution for that. But this drop-down section is now several months old. It's been up and down, and it's running well. I did have a problem over the summer with expansion. It didn't actually contract back. And it's only a fraction of a millimeter, but it wouldn't close. I ended up having to file the end of the track just very carefully so that it would close again. And but it's fine. So you just have to keep doing these running repairs. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Take care, and see you again soon.